So again, welcome to this webinar presented by the International Society for Quality of Life Studies, known as ISQOLS. We are very pleased to have our speaker today. His name is Dr. Fernando Andrés Sánchez González. He is a society, science, business, and tech enthusiast exploring alternatives to improve well-being. This is his passion and this is his cause. He's the author and creator of the Wellbeing Driven Economy, a new economic system based on technology. There's a book out that I'm sure he'll reference and speak about, as well as his website. And with that, Fernando, I'm going to turn it over to you to begin your presentation. We're very pleased to have you with us today.
All right. Thank you very much, Jill, for those very kind words. All right. So it's my honor to present to you the Wellbeing Driven Economy here at the International Society for Quality of Life Studies. My name is Fernando, and let me say that this initiative has the approval from Professor Maggie Hall from the Vienna University of Economics and Business. So with that, let's begin. Initially, let me tell you how I came to this idea. It was basically out of my own suffering. So here you see 4 of the illnesses I went through during the last 12 years. The facial nerve paralysis seems to be a hard one, but actually there was one that was even harder. It was a psychosis in 2011. For those who don't understand the term psychosis, you can read it as being crazy, actually crazy. It was a horrible illness for me. It's truly horrible. It took me years, but I recovered as much as I could. I could write a whole book about that. I could even make a movie with things that you would not believe. But by now, let me leave it like that. I cannot say that all these illnesses were caused exclusively by stress, but the stress was certainly the common factor. It was a stress that I would describe as the struggle of life. Maybe you can relate to that. Maybe you have experienced that kind of stress during your lives at some point. I hope you didn't fall ill, but maybe you can relate. While I was going through all these difficulties and issues in my life, I was, of course, looking for solutions. And I was asking myself many questions. And one of the key questions I was asking myself was, what do I really want? What do I really, really want? And my default answer was money. But that was just my default answer. Because when I look at it twice, I discovered that money was not the right answer I was looking for. Of course, some money would help, but it was not the right answer I was looking for. So I came back to the question, what do I really want? And this time, a more satisfying answer came to my mind. I want to be happy, and I want others to be happy as well. I want to be happy, but not just that. I also want others to be happy as well. And out of this simple statement, I want to be happy and I want others to be happy as well. And because I am an engineer, so sometimes I think like an engineer, I ask myself naturally a further question. Is there a system to make and keep humans happy? A system, something like a machine. I Googled that, and Google replied to me stating that the system to make and keep humans happy is the economy. Wow, that was really interesting to me. I found this while skimming through an introductory economist book that Google suggested. And that was the point when I got really into economics, because I wanted to understand how is that the economy makes and keep us happy. So I started to read books on economics, watch videos on different platforms, reading blogs, articles on the internet. And of course, I'm not an economist, but I learned some economics. So with economics, I had more or less the first puzzle piece. Afterwards, I learned about the machine learning paradigm called reinforcement learning. And that was the second puzzle piece. And finally, with a bit of life sciences, the puzzle started to get completed. That is, with life science, reinforcement learning, and economics, the well-being driven economy was kind of born. So before explaining to you what is the well-being driven economy, let me ask you a favor. Please keep an open mind. Why is that? Well, we have been hearing our all-known paradigm, the GDP-based economy paradigm, for more than 200 years. That is, by default, we tend to counteract when we hear a new economic paradigm, a new idea, a new proposed paradigm. So I ask you, please keep an open mind and don't counteract by default. Please keep an open mind and hear the new proposed paradigm, the well-being driven economy, this smiley, this happy face. So let's make this deal if you agree with that. When we see either this symbol or this one or both, we're going to initially breathe in and breathe out 3 times to calm ourselves down. Then we will understand the proposals and we will assess the proposals, taking enough time for that. And then we will decide, right? Can we make that deal? Thank you. So please keep an open mind. Now let's begin. Let me read this statement for you. The goal of any economy is to increase GDP or to provide for the people's well-being while taking care of the environment. Wait. Before counteracting or taking a decision, let's breathe in and breathe out 3 times. Okay, now we understand the proposal, we assess it, and we take our decision. In my honest and humble opinion, the goal of any economy is to provide for people's well-being while taking care of the environment. You might agree with that. Now, we as persons, as humans, we all have needs, but we cannot satisfy them on our own. I mean, as humans, we get hungry and we need bread to satisfy our hunger. We get thirsty and we need water or wine. We need a shelter, we need an apartment, a house for our families. We need clothes. And we ourselves, we cannot satisfy all those needs efficiently. So the only way that we have found so far to improve our well-being, that is to satisfy our needs, is to organize ourselves in institutions, for example, companies, and help each other. That is, we have needs, we cannot satisfy them on our own. So we organize ourselves in institutions, in companies, and each company satisfies certain need. And then we exchange that satisfaction of needs in society. And by that, we create well-being for the society and for the people, a collective and an individual well-being. So here we see three figures depicting three institutions, three companies, a bakery, a flour producer, and a wheat harvester. And now you can imagine if these three institutions, if these three companies interact, they could produce bread, right? But to interact properly, we need to cooperate. So these institutions, these companies need to cooperate. And we currently achieve that, of course, by money, actually by money flow. So money is allowing us to identify our needs. We are hungry, we want to eat bread, that's a need. And besides that, money allows us to coordinate our actions. That is, if this man here is hungry and wants to eat bread, he will pay the bakery for the bread. And by that, he is injecting some money in the economy. That money will flow through the production chain. And that allows us to coordinate our actions such that the man gets the bread that he needs. Simple, but interesting. Let me show you a brief animation to depict that. Here we have a man, let's call him Peta. He's hungry and he wants to eat bread. He pays the bakery for the bread, and the bakery pays the flour producer, and the flour producer pays the wheat harvester. In that process, there is a money flow that is coordinating our actions in society, such that Peter, can receive the bread he needs. Very simple example, but interesting. Now, let me present you a totally new approach to identify our needs and coordinate our actions. That is more or less what the economy is doing. So we can think about these ideas as a new economic paradigm. But we will do that without money flow, actually without money. And besides that, we would not need a hierarchical structure in society. We would have a flatter society. So I hope these two statements catch your attention. And of course, I want to talk with you about the well-being driven economy, a new economic system paradigm based on technology. Initially, let me say that the well-being driven economy is a data-driven economy. What do I mean by data-driven? Well, classically, we used to build knowledge-based systems. A knowledge-based system is where we build a system following the laws of nature. That is, we know the laws of nature, and we build a system to do certain tasks. That's how we used to build systems classically in engineering. But currently, we are using artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence allows us to use a data-driven approach. In a data-driven approach, the systems that we build, they start to learn, they start to process data. And the more data they process, the more they learn. And the more they learn, they become more and more performant. And they are able to achieve outstanding performances. An outstanding performance. So the well-being driven economy is driven by artificial intelligence and is a data-driven economy. Now, the well-being driven economy could lead us to flourish and thrive as humans. And this statement is underlined because it's the core statement of the well-being driven economy. The well-being driven economy is not about the technology. It's not about the proposal we are making from the technology point of view. It's about exploring alternatives to improve society well-being. It's about how can we live better? How can we live lives we enjoy? How can we live lives with life satisfaction, with well-being, lives we really like, lives we truly love? That's what it is about. And finally, let me read this sentence from a French magnet by Mahatma Gandhi. There is more to life than increasing its speed, which I think is totally true. So with that, let me present to you a simple diagram of the proposed system. Here we have 3 blocks. Block number 1, block number 2, and block number 3. What do we have in block number 1? We have a society. I like to write the happy humankind. In block number 2, we have the digitalized production systems and activities. We see activities that we consider work, like working in a factory, doing the chores, doing some research. But we see activities that we consider like leisure, for example, cycling or rowing, for example. And now, please keep an open mind. What do we have in block 3? We have an artificial intelligence agent that will suggest activities to the people in block number 1 out of the activities in block number 2 in order to increase society well-being in the best possible way, to increase our well-being in the best possible way. Now, just think about block number 3 as an application, like the one we have already in our smartphones, right? So it's an application. Now, let's take a closer look at this. Here we have again our 3 blocks, block number 1, block number 2, and block number 3. But in this case, we put together block number 1 and block number 2 in a big block, and we call that block the environment. And we have block number 3, our application, right? So we have replaced the digitalized production systems and activities by 2 kinds of activities. You can see a sequence of activities that would allow society to produce bread. That is, harvest the wheat, mill the grains, prepare the bread mass, bake the bread, and eat the bread. Those activities would produce bread for the people, right? But besides that, we have another kind of activity. We have an activity that is running in the park. And how would the system work in this setting? Well, you can imagine it already, right? If the people are hungry, the application could identify that and is going to trigger certain actions in order to suggest some activities to the people in society. Of course, if they are hungry, the most convenient set of actions would be to suggest them to produce bread, such that when they eat the bread, their well-being will increase. Now, if they are not hungry, the application would not suggest them to produce more bread. On the opposite, it's going to probably suggest them to run in the park. So here we have a system that truly provides for our well-being. Now let me present you the information flow in this system. Initially, the application is going to ask the environment, how are you? It's going to ask to the people, how are you? Then the application will ask, how is the world? And then the application will suggest to take certain actions over the environment. In exchange, the environment will provide some information about how it's improving the well-being of society. Did the situation improve? in well-being terms. That is, how are you? How is the world? I suggest to take these actions. Did the situation improve? And you can already see it. If the people are hungry, how are you? And there is certain state for the production systems, how is the world? Then according to that information, the application will suggest certain activities to the people. And by that, the system will check if the well-being of the society will improve or not, and by how much. You can get by that information flow already some insights on how the system would work. So you can see here we have an explore and exploit paradigm. That is, we check the state of the people, the state of the world. We explore certain actions over the environment, and we check if those actions are increasing the society well-being, the people's well-being. If it's so, the system, the application starts to learn because it's a data-driven system. And afterwards, it's going to exploit that knowledge. So we initially explore actions, and then we exploit that knowledge to further improve the performance of the system, of the application, and further provide more well-being to society. That's a very simple way to explain it. We can take here a closer look. So again, with our very simple, basic, illustrative example, we have the society, and we can know if the people in society are hungry. We can know that by biosignals, for example, vital signs, biomarkers, for example, hormone levels, or digital traces. Digital traces are the information that we are collecting already with our smartphones or with our smartwatches already nowadays. So basically, if the people are hungry, we can know that. The application will also read the state of the world. Then it's going to take an action over the environment, suggesting activities to the people via these arrows that I'm pointing out. And in exchange, after the actions are performed, there will be a reward that will tell the application how much the well-being of society, how much the people's society increase or reduce itself. So that's the way how the system will work. And we can extend these ideas to consider also the environment well-being. So probably we could contribute to issues like climate change, because here we are considering, in the example I gave you, just the people's well-being, but we can extend these ideas to also considering the environment well-being. All right, nice. Now, let me explain for you a good advantage of the well-being driven economy. The well-being driven economy would allow us to have a very good work-life balance, a work-life balance that would be achievable. Why is that? Well, if the people are hungry, the system will produce the bread they need to improve their well-being. But if the people are not hungry, the system will tell the people, go ahead and run in the park, take a swim, share time with your partner, with your wife, with your husband, make new friends. All these things that we know that are improving our human well-being and that are key for improving our well-being. For example, it is well known that good social relationships are very good to improve not just our health, but also our happiness. So we could start to use all that information from well-being economics, from happiness economics, to guide the system and to improve society well-being even further. So at the end, we will achieve a very good work-life balance. Now, we all search very hard for a better future for us, but sometimes we don't find our way. Maybe you can relate to that. And it might be because it's actually not just our individual actions what count, but society actions as well, mainly society coordination. That means currently in society, we take individual actions, but the outcome is the sum of all those individual decisions and actions. If we manage to coordinate ourselves better, to take better actions and better decisions together, we all will manage to improve our well-being further, to improve our lives on the personal and on the social level. And that is depicted by the very simple examples I have given you, but these examples can be further extended, as you can imagine. In this comic, you see the ideas I was describing to you. If we continue with our current paradigm, sometimes we are pulling in opposite directions, as we can see in the first 3 rows of this comic. So maybe if we manage to coordinate ourselves better, to work together, the well-being driven economy would allow us to win. And in this way, we all win. We all win. But we have to be careful because we want to do this right. So we have to take into consideration also the risks. We want to minimize the risk. We have to take into account, for example, artificial intelligence safety. What about artificial intelligence alignment? What about governance? Which is the best governance that we should implement for this kind of system? We need to consider ethical and moral issues. We need to consider a sustainable transition. Should we go for a full transition, for a hybrid economy? Maybe that's something we need to study. And finally, we need to consider also ecological issues. We want to have ecological responsibility. Now, let me say that the well-being driven economy could be maybe the most general, specific artificial intelligence problem. What do I mean by that? Well, here on the left, we have artificial general intelligence. That is the idea of building a super powerful, super intelligent system that would solve all our problems like this. That's an interesting idea, but that is pretty complex. That's artificial general intelligence. Now, on the other hand, on the other side, we have the well-being driven economy. That's a specific artificial intelligence problem. I mean, because this one is general and this one is specific, I would suggest that the complexity of the well-being driven economy is lower. And we are investing already a lot of money on resources here. So my suggestion is, hey guys, let's put also some money and some resources here, because this could be the most relevant problem humanity has been facing. We are dealing here with how to best improve society well-being. Now, here we see our little blue dot, our planet, our home, Earth. The only difference between the 2 photos, between the 2 images, is that on the left, we see the West Hemisphere, and on the right, we see the East Hemisphere. But at the end, it's just one planet, just one home of all of us. And if we manage to properly tweak this idea, This could be wonderful, not for the West or for the East, but for humanity. So let me go quickly through some advantages or some characteristics of the well-being driven economy. The well-being driven economy is a post-growth economy, a beyond GDP economy that would be a video for democracy instead of just a photo on election days. That means this would be an evolved democracy. The well-being driven economy is a system that serves everyone and leaves no one behind. It's a stakeholder economy that takes the interests of all the stakeholders into account. It should not be a revolution, but a revolutionary evolution. And hopefully, we manage to work as one human team. And maybe we can even enable this tool to be owned by the whole humankind. And here, we are aiming for the best economic system that has ever existed, a system that finds the best possible way for society to improve its own well-being. Nice. Now, coming back to the initial slide, to the first slides I was presenting to you, was I doing something wrong? Maybe. Is there something to be improved in society? Maybe. But regarding the first question, let me say that I have learned to live a happy and healthy life, and I'm doing very well. Now, regarding the second question, is there something to be improved at the society level? Maybe. And the well-being driven economy is a very promising alternative. So yes, the well-being driven economy is a seminal idea, is a seed idea. But as these birds are telling us, it might be a very good idea. So let's give it a try. I'm just trying to help in the most sincere and honest way. And now let me ask you some favors. As Jill was telling us, there is a book about the well-being driven economy. You can find it on Amazon. Just look for the well-being driven economy on your favorite Amazon site. Besides that, I would like you to please like, comment, and share these ideas. You can follow us on Facebook if you want to know how this initiative develops, or what you want to get updates. Just follow us on Facebook. You find us as the Wellbeing Driven under the Wellbeing Driven Economy. And now here come my main 3 favors for you. Besides this book, besides the book that is available on Amazon, we have a research proposal that is in an advanced stage. We want to use that research proposal to apply for funding. The idea is to show in a very simple economy, in a little economy, how would these ideas work? How would this system allow us to improve our well-being in a personal and in a society level? So if we want to work with you, we want to build a strong team to apply for funding. So if you are an economist, if you are an engineer working on reinforcement learning, maybe on transformers, if you want to explore these ideas from a life science point of view, please do contact us. We are keen to talk with you, to get to know you, to build a strong team, and to apply for funding. Besides that, we want to launch related projects. So you have an idea that sounds interesting, that could be related to the well-being driven economy, and could lead us to explore alternatives to improve society well-being, we want to shake hands with you. I'm keen to shake my right hand and my left hand with you. If I need to throw 10 hands to help more people to launch projects related to how to improve our society well-being, I will do that. So we are very keen to shake hands with you and work together with you to explore alternatives to improve our well-being. Please do contact us. And finally, we are very, very keen to give more talks. Sorry that I was a bit nervous. This is my first webinar, but we are very keen to give more talks. So please contact us at admin@twde.org. With that, let me just present you the references, the credits, and let me say some final words here. So I know it has been difficult for humanity. We went through wars, recessions, inflation, pandemics. But I trust that humanity is wise. And I think that we all together can continue building an even better future. Let's build together a better future with well-being. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fernando, for excellent presentation. Very, very interesting, and I appreciate all your insights and your ideas. At this point, we invite all of our participants, if you have any questions or comments, this is the time. There's no questions in the chat bar, but feel free to either raise your hand or turn your camera off or unmute yourself. While we're waiting for that, Fernando, I'm wondering if you could speak to us a little bit about your next action steps. I know that you're a member with the Wellbeing Economy Alliance, and just curious if you have any particular projects in the works to apply some of these theories.
Well, we have a research proposal that is going a bit deeper than this introductory presentation. So we want to show by simulation how the system would work. So how can we have a simple economy, a little economy, where we could apply this new paradigm and see how it would actually improve people's well-being, how we would provide for our material needs, and besides that, how we would provide for our emotional, social needs on top of that. So that's the next step. We hope to build strong collaborations, to form strong partnerships, and apply for funding to hopefully show in the future how the system could work and how could benefit us all.
Are there any examples of other similar type projects that you've studied in the past that you would like to emulate?
Yes, actually there is one work by Salesforce. They were simulating what they call the AI Economist. The AI Economist is a system that is also based on the same machine learning technique that we are proposing to use, reinforcement learning, but they are using it on top of the GDP economy. We are proposing to use it from a raw level, from the activities level. So by that, we are approaching the problem with more degrees of flexibility, with more degrees of freedom, even when we could have more complexity. But what we saw from this work, very interesting work from Salesforce, is that they were showing that an artificial intelligence agent coordinating society, coordinating our economies, is able to achieve a better outcome in terms of productivity and equality. So basically they have two axes, productivity and equality here. And as we know, in the ideal case, the economy should reach a Pareto curve. So that is the curve where nobody can gain something without somebody losing something. So that is the ideal situation for an economy. But in GDP economies, we are not yet at this Pareto curve because the assumptions are not fully fulfilled. So what Salesforce was showing was that our current economies could be improved further if we use this kind of techniques. Of course, this was a first exploration of these ideas, and we are extending these ideas from Salesforce. I invite you to Google, to look on YouTube, this work, the AI Economist. It's a very interesting approach. We are proposing something similar, but still different. I would say the Wellbeing Driven Economy is like a cousin of the AI Economist. And we want to further explore these proposals to truly improve society well-being.
Yeah, I can imagine with the technological advances in AI that there will be certainly many opportunities in the coming years to connect people with some of these desired outcomes that you have. I mean, I'm certainly thinking of in particular, there's a presentation that we had from one of our members, Cornelia Walther. She has this very similar idea in terms of a paradigm shift and how to steer people away from simply associating happiness and well-being with simply economic terms. And so I'd love to connect you with her as well. And certainly other of our members who are tuned into the AI world and how that can improve our well-being. Are there any comments, questions? We had just one comment from Joe Sergi. I think he hopped off, but just saying he certainly appreciates your passion and insights related to building a new economy based on well-being. Keep up the good work. Any other comments or questions before we wrap this up? None that I see through. So, well, with that, then I think we will go ahead and end our webinar. But it was a pleasure to have you on board with us, Fernando, and I hope that you can join us up at our upcoming conference, as well as everyone here who's joined us today. We will be sending out the recording as well as the presenter information. And as a reminder, our early bird registration is coming up May 15th. So please do plan to register before that deadline so you can enjoy our excellent discount. As a reminder, we'll also be sending out the details that Fernando has shared with us today about his book and his Facebook page and all of his links. So hopefully you can connect with him if you have any interest in that. Fernando, thank you so much for your time and for your efforts. And we hope that we can maintain a good relationship to just follow up with you on all of your processes and your progress.
Thank you very much to you, Jill, and to the people who were kind to hear this presentation. Have a nice day.
Excellent. Thank you all again, and be well. Hopefully we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye. Thanks, Fernando. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.